Intimacy in a nursing home is definitely a real thing, happens more often than you think. Um, I know that a lot of you want to think that that's gross, and we're going to get to that in a minute. However, people do not stop wanting companionship and touch and love just because they move into a nursing home. Um, human connection never retires. The older you get, the more you realize that. Okay, so why does it still matter? Besides, like I just said, the whole human connection thing, um, physical closeness and all of that never goes away. So it can reduce depression, ease anxiety, strengthen bonding, and give a sense of dignity and identity to people um, inside a nursing home. I mean, some residents find new friendships, some find romance, and some people just enjoy being together, holding hands or spending time together. But there definitely is a sexual component, even up in their 80s. It may be 90s. It just depends on the person, and you can't take that away from people. So sometimes, it's just very much about sex, and we want to be able to discuss that. Um, I've been doing uh, some research, even though I've got plenty of experience, and we had one nursing home. Uh, like I said, some of my nursing home residents are not old. So then you have that. Yeah, you have physical and medical issues and, medicines, but that doesn't always mess with intimate issues. There was a poll done. It says 85% of long-term care facility residents have intimate concerns. Okay, so like, how does the nursing home deal with that in general? So first of all, let's talk about the nursing home, their policies, and if they even have one. It said 25% as of 2023. Only 25% of American nursing homes had a policy regarding intimacy, sex, in a nursing home. Okay, and there's this thing they do in the nursing home. It's called a BIMS. You know, can you repeat bed, blue, and sock? And do you know what day it is? And all of that. Okay. So it comes up with a score of a total of 15. Um, so if they're using that exclusively for determining whether somebody is cognitive enough to have sex, I mean, if I couldn't remember bed, blue, or sock, and I couldn't remember what day it was, it wouldn't determine whether or not I would want to have sex or not. However, I get it, and I know there's regulations for this kind of thing, and you want to protect people that are not cognitively able to determine that, in dementia and things like that. So when you're in a nursing home and you answer those questions, and let's just say your BIMS is kind of low, maybe an 8 or a 9, but you still want to have sex. So then the nursing home should do a little more in-depth. Just make sure, do you know what you're doing? You understand what it is. I mean, I don't think we have to worry about anybody getting pregnant, but we might have to worry about, STDs. So the nursing home there, on top of all of that, and I got a policy from one of my friends' nursing homes, you're to provide privacy. You're to provide, locked doors and do not disturb signs and lubricant and whatever else they need. Those things should be provided by the nursing home. So, I mean, there's married couples in nursing homes. It just shouldn't be a taboo thing to talk about. Okay. And I understand this is the other thing about nursing homes. So you've got a lot of really young CNAs working there. And I remember when I was young, I mean, you think everybody over 40 is old. So everybody in a nursing home then is like, you wouldn't even think about them having sex. So they treat them more like kids and not like adults who can have adult relationships. And that definitely needs to be trained in a nursing home. You need to have respect for people's privacy issues and their intimacy issues, and no matter what they are. Okay, I read about, it's called the Hebrew House in New York, and how, the CEO there says whatever they can do at home, they can do here, and that really should be the whole premise of life. I mean, we're human beings. We shouldn't. You're not in prison. You don't go to a nursing home to be in prison and feel like you have no rights and you can't do anything. I mean, that's what your ombudsman's for too, if you feel like you don't have any rights. So, nursing homes, I know they have to walk a fine line for, because they don't want anybody having sex that doesn't want to have sex or anything like that. But, it's still important that they allow that freedom. So what about families? So, maybe you don't want to walk in and see your mom curled up with Earl from room 112. But, she needs that. And so, how do you respond as a family member to this? Number one, they're adults, and you need to remember that. They have emotional needs. They deserve companionship. And they didn't just quit being your parent or a human because they moved into a facility. So you need to let them be an adult if they have that capacity. You need to ask the questions. The consent, you have to, are they capable? Does your parent know what they're doing? And if you feel like you need to protect them because they don't, then that's different. We'll talk about that later. Some of them can be emotionally manipulated. Maybe they've always been like that. And, so there again, it's a fine line between, you're the child, not the parent. I just I don't want us to treat our parents like they're kids, ever. I mean, that's always been a big thing for me. I mean, like I've said, I've worked in nursing homes for years. And I know, Shakespeare always talked about that, like the 7 stages of life, and you start out as a baby and you end up as a baby. But you really don't. Okay. I mean, yes, there are things that happen that cause our brains to do things, but you've lived a long life. You've been an adult. You've raised kids. You've had a job. So therefore, it is different. But families, all you have to do is have good communication with the nursing home and the staff. I've talked about that in other videos where communication is key for everything in life anyway. Just ask them, what their policy is. And, some places don't even have private rooms. So if that's the case, what do they do in those situations? I mean, I've actually walked in before because there was even though you knock and somebody will holler, come in, and you come in and there they are. So you've got, and just like I said, this wasn't an older person. They were younger people still. So many stories. Anyway, I would like to hear yours. If you have a question, if you have a story, like maybe you work in a nursing home and you've got stories, or maybe it's your family member and you have a concern, drop that in the comment below. I would really like to hear your comments. Thanks.